Good morning, everyone. My name is Giri, Venugopal, and this is my colleague Imran, Baig, and we are both solution architects from CX Americas, and we are here to talk about NSO adoption. What are the common pitfalls that the customer might run into when he adopts NSO, or for that matter of fact, any automation tool? And then how CX solutions can address those pitfalls and ensure a smooth transition in a customer's automation journey. Right? So that's what we're going to talk about for the next 30 minutes. And as Nicholas mentioned, this is a pretty last-minute session, so we're just trying to give out as much as content as possible. But the time is quite short. We just have 30 minutes, so let's just get through the presentation, right? So this is going to be our agenda today. So we'll first see what are the challenges when it comes to automation adoption. Then we kind of transition to how CX built the automation service packs can help ease out the adoption and help you make a seamless transition. And we'll just talk about a couple of automation service packs, or the OSM build service pack as well as ZTP. And followed by a ZTP demo that will be given by Imran. So let's dive into the challenges. Okay, so first of all, let's start with when a customer starts his automation journey, right? So and in our case, it's going to be NSO. So let's say once the customer purchases NSO, so what is the next step for him to do? So, they might have a lot of things in mind. I'm going to automate this, I'm going to automate that, but they don't really have guidance on how what is the best way to go. Start with simple steps and go to more complex use cases, right? So that's going to be the first challenge here. The selection of the right use case, right? So we need to guide customers on what would be the ideal candidates starting that needs to be adopted when he starts his automation journey. And the second challenge would be the organizational readiness, right? So, the customers might be impressed with a lot of things, but they might not be really sure, like if their entire organization is ready to accept the change, right? So they need to ensure if their organization is really ready to start expecting changes, and if all the teams that they are working with are in sync with each other. So that's another major challenge that some of our customers that we work with have seen. And another key pitfall is going to be lack of proper trainings, right? So let's say they purchase NSO, but they need to go through sufficient trainings to get themselves equipped with what NSO has to offer and what are the key features that NSO provides, right? So more than at least a few customers that we have seen, they didn't have enough trainings, so they've been taking really the cycles have been really long for them. To start their automation journey, right? And another pitfall is going to be the incorrect implementation. So what this means is there are a set of industry-wide best practices that that needs to be followed, and just because there is a new solution or new tool that's been in use, they might not be aware of what might be or what are the current industry-wide best practices. So they might start off with an incorrect implementation of a use case. So instead of doing it in a simple way, they might start using and doing it in a pretty complex way that might end up in being a bottleneck. And the last is concerns about job security. So it's always going to be a thought that keeps running in the back end of network engineers, right? So let's say what happens to our jobs when a new automation tool that's going to come in and do whatever we are doing today. So that's again another challenge. And so since analogies are trending, I just try to give an analogy with a X-Men character here. This is Cyclops. People who don't know, so it's just he's just discovered his powers, and he just doesn't know how to control them yet. So what needs to be done, right? So how do we make this adoption seamless and help them to have a smooth transition from their manual processes into their automation processes? So we'd like to kind of address the same challenges that we saw on the previous slide, and these are the equivalent. Open from that. Yeah. So these are the corresponding remedies, or the solutions for the problems that we saw in the previous slide. So previously we saw the main pitfall was the use case selection. So we just need to educate the customer on what would be the ideal use cases, so that they can start their journey in a simple way. Help them pick the right use cases, and then enable them to start taking complex use cases, right? So we just need to make them aware of, we just need to show them how they can take baby steps, or how they can do a crawl, walk, run kind of journey, right? So they don't want to run right away. So they need to learn to crawl first, and then walk first, and then run. So we need to educate them. That's the first thing that needs to be there. And so when the previous problem, the second problem was the organizational readiness. So the customer needs to be prepared. They need to be in a mindset where they start, where they come in prepared. So now we are bringing in an automation tool. We need to be prepared, and we need to start expecting changes. So that kind of it needs to resonate with the entire team, so that they are aware and they're open to changes. And about the trainings, they need to ensure that the operations team, or whoever is using the platform, they have enough skill set and enough training sessions, so that they can start working, they can realize the true potential of the solution, and they can start using the tool in the best way, or using the best practices that they should be using. And if they don't do that, probably everybody is going to end up saying that, okay, NSO is complex, it's too complex, I'm not going to, I don't like it, or whatever, right? So we need to make sure that doesn't happen. They need to realize what are the true potential of NSO, and what is the easiest, or what are the better ways to achieve the results. And consult for best practices, right? So that's where CX, like we come in. So we've been kind of doing a lot of customer deployments, and almost everybody is aware of all the best practices that needs to be implemented when we start developing a network automation use case. So educating them with best practices, that's another key step for the automation adoption, right? And about the job security concerns, so the customers or the operations team needs to be of course that's natural to have those those thoughts, but once they start using the solution in the right way, and once they see the true potential of the solution, they would end up realizing that, okay, so we now simplified the process of whatever they have been doing manually into maybe, like, let's say a half or even a quarter of the time. And right now they have more time that they can spend on innovation. So it's more like they are adding more security to the job than ever, right? So it's more like they need to they'll have more time to innovate and think about expanding the solution in different areas. Okay, so we spoke about the automation adoption challenges, and so we just wanted to show some of the solutions that would help a customer jumpstart his automation journey with NSO, right? So that's the main reason why we came up with the automation service packs initiative. So what we did was we did a market research of we had surveys sent out to all the customers, asking them for their pain points or their main challenges in the day-to-day network operation activities. So we then kind of collected the responses, and we started off with ranking them, prioritizing them in the order, and we came up with a few service packs, and that's the inception of the service packs initiative, right? So we kind of collected those use cases. We took the common repeatable patterns out of it. We generalized them into a custom service pack, so that could give them a jump start. So let's say tomorrow a new customer adopts NSO. So let's say he has a common use case, and the delivery team doesn't have to do it starting from scratch, right? They can leverage the existing automation service packs, which would kind of put them ahead in their automation journey. So let's say they start at level 30 or 40 or 50 instead of starting from ground zero. So let's look at what are the current automation service packs that we have today. And let's first look at what are the service packs. So as we just spoke earlier, so they are pre-built NSO service packages that have been developed by CX team, and we have ensured that we are following all the best practices that we learned from the previous customer experiences, and then they are mostly, in most of the cases, they are production ready and they can be deployed. But of course, that's not always the case. We need to have some amount of customization on top of what we have, right? So that it's never always 100% ready. So with those particular, with those specific or minimal customizations, we can reduce the time to deploy really faster than what it takes when you build the use case from scratch. And if you look at the why part, that we discussed that as well. So you have faster time to market, and the deployment is really quicker. And the other important thing is these service packs have been validated already, and by the CX team. And the validation time is again something that you save off when you deliver the service packs onto a customer environment. And since these are generic, they are not tied to any customer, although they have been collected from various customer use cases, they are generic and not tied to any specific environment. So you can always make sure that these are reusable and they don't tie to a specific flavor or environment. And the key reason is let's say a customer already has NSO, so he could be asking for, okay, what more can you guys provide? So how can I get more value add for my existing NSO investment? So these service packs can address those questions as well. So you can provide more value adds using these use cases. And about the how part, so this is how we created the service packs. So we follow the best practices. Again, we capture as I told you earlier, we capture the common reusable part of it, and we carve a service pack out of it. So the feeding part is from a customer deployment, right? So that's our main driver here. And we also have the continuous integration and continuous deployment models for each of these service packs. So it's all, once you start using the service pack, we have the corresponding Jenkins builds and everything is already taken care of, so that with just minimal customizations, you can set up the entire CI/CD chain up and running in no time. So let's look at some of the key automation service packs that we have built up. And as I mentioned earlier, these service packs that we developed are based on the customer requirements and the pain points, right? So the first one that we started off was with OS upgrade. As you know, it's a pretty hot use case, and there are more than one ways to implement the OS upgrade use case. We just saw an implementation in the previous presentation, but we'll get into it deeper in the upcoming slides, right? So it has various flavors, like you can do parallel, sequential staging, but all this is a self-contained service pack within NSO. It doesn't it doesn't have integration to external systems. So we'll dive deeper into it in the next few slides. And device port turn-up is another service pack where we address the common tasks and pushing L2 access and trunk ports. So you can we can bulk turn up multiple ports at the same time, and we just implement it for Cisco, Arista, Juniper. So it's a multi-vendor environment. So that we carved that out as a service pack as well. ZTP, it's another hot potato, and this is more in demand. When you it's going to be shown by Imran in detail. But the thing is, whenever you need an automated way to bring up a device onto a network without a human intervention, ZTP comes in really handy, and there are more flavors to it, which Imran will be showing. And migration. So migration is another key use case. So we have validated specific flavors of migration. So we have validated iOS to iOS XR and L2 L3 VPN migration, and we can always keep adding more flavors to it based on the customer use case implementation. So all of these are kind of derived from customer deliveries. And here are some more. So network compliance, it's another service pack that leverages the golden config template feature in NSO, right? So you can see, you can create your GCT templates, and you can run it across your network environment to see to see what devices are compliant and what are not. And the value add that we provide here is you can also remediate your devices which are non-compliant. Right, so you can just push in your template, the template to the device, and you can always make your devices compliant. Service discovery framework. Again, this is also I think there were a couple of presentations yesterday as well on this. So in continuation with those, we have taken out the reusable part of the service discovery framework, and the only variable that's here is the transformation logic, where you create NSO services from raw device configuration. So that is the only variable part. But outside that, everything has been taken out, and we built that service pack. So it will be more like you just insert your custom transformation logic, or bring your own transformation logic, BYOT, and then you can use the service discovery framework as well. And Metro Ethernet Service Pack is a whole suite of VPN services that we are offering, and it also has a few flavors that have been delivered to a few customers. So the main flavors that we are covering in this service pack is EPL, EVPL, and Ethernet network services. And the last use case, traffic, then it's a very small or a simple service pack where you want to migrate your traffic before you perform a migration or an OS upgrade. So let's say you have a lot of neighbors and you want to migrate your traffic to a specific neighbor, you can do that. So that's what the service pack does. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we're just going to take a deep dive into the OS upgrade service pack and the ZTP service pack. And so these are the and before that, so you might have seen more than one implementations for OS upgrade and ZTP, right? So I just like to note that this is a totally self-contained NSO-based solution, right? You don't have an OSS layer that's on top of this. So this is only to address requirements where the customer has NSO and he wants to get more value and only based on NSO. So that's where this service pack really comes in handy. So you can see all the features here. It comes with a set of basic features as well as advanced features. So we have couple of versions. So depending on the customer requirements, if he just wants very basic or simple features where he just wants to perform the upgrade and just be done with it, he can just stay with the basic functionality that comes with the service pack. Or if it's multi-vendor platform where he has a variety of platforms like Cisco, Juniper, Arista, etc. Right? So then we could make use of the advanced features, which would provide more granular control and flexibility when you perform an OS upgrade. So we can probably have a demo. If you are interested in an OS upgrade use case, you can just come reach us out at the demo booths. So we'll be more than happy to show that. And these are the supported platforms. So right now we from CX have been we have validated this OS upgrade service pack with all these platforms, and this has been growing typically based out of customer deployments, right? So as and when there is a new requirement for a new platform, and that's how we keep expanding the portfolio, right? So if there's a new request for OS upgrade to perform OS upgrade for a Nokia platform or an Arista platform, once we validate that and we kind of generalize the service pack, we will add that to the list of supported platforms. So that's how we keep expanding our portfolio. Okay, so just a quick walkthrough of the OS upgrade workflow. So again, as I mentioned earlier, this is all within NSO. So it could be again invoked by from a different northbound layer by API as well. But once the request reaches NSO, these are the sequence of events that takes place in case of an OS upgrade service, right? So basically, the first step is the user provides all the details about what devices that he wants to upgrade and whether he needs to upgrade them in a serial manner or a parallel manner, or another use case could be he just wants to do an image staging and he wants to do the upgrade later. So We just take those. These are the minimal inputs that our workflow requires. And then we compute everything within NSO, because NSO is kind of the master inventory database, right? So we get the source version, the device type, etc., everything from NSO. So we just want to keep the user inputs to a minimum. And we also perform some basic validations. It could also be user defined. These are nothing but health checks. You may want to make sure that the device is in good health and it's ready for an OS upgrade. So you can provide all your validation rules here. Okay, so now comes the pre and post checks, right? So the pre-post checks here that we do are pretty simple. So we take in a few show commands, right? So the user can configure a set of show commands that he wants to, monitor, right? So let's say I want to monitor how many neighbors is my device connected to before the upgrade, and how many neighbors is my device connected to after the upgrade. So I just run a show command to get the output and do a comparison of the pre-upgrade responses versus the post-upgrade responses. So that's where you can configure. The user can configure a list of show commands, and they will be run before and after the upgrade. And we will be providing a report which would do a side-by-side comparison and highlight all the configuration changes. And this is the key step where we execute the upgrade mock. Right? So we run the pre-check, we execute the upgrade mock. So this is where the user provides the commands that he needs to run as part of the upgrade. Like it could be upgrading the boot priority, specifying the image that needs to be copied, and then doing a reload of the device. And if let's say there could be other instances where if the devices are in HA mode, you might need to go in a sequential way where you upgrade the standby device first, then do a traffic failover, and then upgrade the new stand. Okay. So now, once you perform the upgrade, we then do the post checks, where we basically run the same set of show commands that we ran during the pre-check, so that we could do a final comparison of the pre-check responses versus the post-check responses. And finally, we generate an upgrade report that the user can see to whether he can. We also have some color coding highlights, which basically highlights all the changes in the configuration, in the device configuration. So there will be some obvious changes like the version, timestamp, etc. that are that are definitely going to change. But apart from that, if there's any change on the device configuration, those will be highlighted, and the user can quickly see what caused the change, and if he needs to do something on the device to ensure that nothing critical was changed during the upgrade. Okay, so that's pretty much it from my side, and I'm going to hand it over to Imran, who would be walking through with the ZTP use case. Thank you.
Thanks, Giri. Alright, team. So as Giri mentioned, that two of the most reusable use cases that we have seen in the customer environment. One is the OS upgrade. People try to use it day in, day out. And the other one is the zero-touch provisioning, because we keep onboarding new devices to the network. And the idea behind ZTP, as we all understand, is to make sure that once the device is added to the network, it should have the right configuration. So someone today, connects the device and they log in, they make those configuration changes. So we want to make sure that process gets automated too. Let's get into it. The ZTP Service Pack that we have written, what it offers. As we all understand, the end goal is to push the configuration toward the device, and we want to make sure that is done in an automated fashion. So from an NSO perspective, the first thing is to make sure we should be able to onboard the device. Next one is we want to make sure what the device role is, and based on the role of the device which came into network, we push the configuration which is relevant to that device. Next one is multi-vendor support. You might have seen quite a few ZTP solutions as well. Some of the solutions are specific to only one vendor. We try to make sure we come up with a solution which should work with most of the vendors. Provisioning history, whenever you provision stuff, NSO, we maintain the history as well, what has been provisioned to NSO. And as we said, NSO gives us the custom configuration, custom configuration support. So based on the type of the device and the role, it should be very easy from the NSO perspective just to create the templates, and we should be able to reuse use the new template based on the new device which has been added. Regarding the flavors, in different customer environments, we have seen a different type of flavors. Like a simple one is the DHCP based, and we have the DHCP server, TFTP server, and we go from that perspective. I'll show you demo based on this particular flavor today. But in some cases, some customers don't like some changes which I will discuss later in the slide. So for that one, we have another flavor which is power on auto provision script. A lot of new devices has a support of executing a script when the device starts. So in that case, we use that particular script and make minor modification to it. Because once you think about ZTP, as I said, the end goal is to push the device configuration. But the second thing that we have to do is we need a trigger to let any automation system know that this device has been added. So I will show you that from the configuration perspective, NSO is the best automation tool that we have. And from the programming perspective, what is needed to control the trigger? Because once you have the trigger in control, you can start talking to any system you want to. And in case of power on auto period script, that is taken by the POP script running on the device itself. The next one is syslog based. Some of the challenges that we have seen is either the device does not support the power on auto provisioning script, or the customer don't want to go to the DHCP route. So we have this third flavor of sniffing the syslog server to make sure that the device is on, and we should create a trigger which will onboard the device and push the configuration. The last one is not technically 100% ZTP, but in some cases we have seen some northbound systems have the triggers and they call NSO. And in few cases that we've also seen is the device is connected through a console server. So through NSO, we talk to console server, configure the device, and once the device is ready, instead of communicating to the device from that point on through the console server, we switch it back to the new IP which has been assigned to the device. What has been tested and supported platform, we have tested with iOS, Nexus OS, iOS XR, and Arista as well. And this is the solution that I'm going to discuss with you. This was the first flavor, which is the DHCP based. So as we see, we will need a ZTP capable network device. We will need a DHCP server which will dynamically assign the IP address. We need a TFTP server from which the device will be able to pull the day zero configuration, because before NSO talks to the device, we need some basic configuration on the device so that NSOs can start communicating with the device. That is pulled from the TFTP server. Next, we all understand in the end we want to push the day one configuration based on the device role. So we use NSO for that perspective. And resource manager is optional if in our case we want to pull some resources from a resource manager. NSO can also talk to a resource manager, pull some resources and push the configuration towards the new device. I'll just quickly skim through it. There's probably not much time left. Yeah, 1 minute left. So as we understand, there is a configuration of the TFTP server, and we know we have, in this case, we are using option 150, so we can pull the day zero configuration from the TFTP server. The trigger that I was talking to, in this case, it is the ZTP script, which is running on the DHCP server. So once the IP is assigned to the device, we are sniffing the logs on the DHCP server, and we know the device is on. We log into the device because we know we have pushed the day zero configuration, what the credentials for the device, pull the basic device configuration, like what is the device serial number, and pass NSO that information. NSO is being told before the ZTP process, please expect a device with this serial number, and if you see that particular device, then this is the role of the device. And based on the role, we push the configuration. Last is the ZTP package, as I said, which is used for pushing the configuration. I'll just quickly skim through it, probably for demo we can take it on the booth. So just high level, we see the actors, we have the device, DHCP server, TFTP server, NSO, the resource manager. Step one is to the DHCP discover and offer. The second one is we send the request, DHCP has been acknowledged. And the next one is where we pull the TFTP server information, what file to load. So we go to the TFTP server, the device talks to TFTP server and pull the day zero configuration. And once the day zero configuration is been assigned The script running on the DHCP server, it talks to the device, pulls the relevant information which it needs to give it to NSO, like the device serial number and the device type. And once the script has pulled the information from the device, it talks to NSO with the payload, because NSO supports, out of the box northbound support. So the script forwards the information to the NSO server. And as I said, this is the point which needs for each flavor. The rest of the information stays the same. This trigger change, whether it could be a POP script, it could be some script running on the syslog server to sniff the device has been added. And once that has been done, script talks to NSO, and then and NSO can talk to the resource manager, and in the end, NSO can onboard our device. So if we don't have time, so I will not do the demo at this point, just to make sure the next presenter has enough time. But is it okay to have a couple of minutes for any questions? One or two questions. If you have, please feel free. Okay, thank you.
Cisco, the bridge to possible.